All right, hey guys. My face is just a tiny bit rosy because I just did my little morning splash and rubbed my animal fats, and I am using a little bit of jojoba and olive oil in my mix now. Then I put my sunscreen on and just trying to get ready for my day. But I wanted to talk a little bit about eating your retinols, okay, and why eating your retinols is significantly and exponentially more important for your skin than putting retinols onto your skin, okay? And I've talked about the differences between topical retinols and preformed vitamin A retinols that you consume and how they work differently in the skin. I've already done videos on that, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I don't want to take up too much time in this video with that, okay? But I do want to talk about when you are using anything at the surface of your skin, you are working through a very different mechanism. Okay, so when you're using nutrition internally, you've eaten it, goes into your body, and your body starts doing what it needs to do in coordination with everything else going on in your body. As long as you have the right nutrition and are operating out of the right metabolism. And just so that you know, metabolism isn't about whether or not you gain weight or don't gain weight. Like, people have no concept of what metabolism actually means because the way that most people hear it is related to weight loss or how thin you are or how overweight you are. Okay, that's how people think of metabolism. But metabolism is all of the activities and actions that your body goes through and all of the things that your cells do. So that's again, you have to remember that metabolism is a huge broad word, okay? Or meaning the word has huge broad meaning, okay? So metabolism is what's going on in your body, okay? That's metabolism. Your cells are using stuff, creating energy. Our body uses this energy, our body uses these nutrients, and our body is constantly doing a trillion different things, okay? Building and repairing and tearing down and breaking down and fixing and signaling and, communicating and, bringing building blocks and building tools, bringing tools to build things. And it's a very complex thing, all right? So when it comes to your skin, okay, when you manipulate from the surface, you are not getting the true benefits of real nutrition, okay? And most people are being fed the lie of the plant-based narrative, so they are not getting the truth. And when you are in glucose metabolism, as opposed to fat metabolism, and fat metabolism breaks down into two different things. It's either beta oxidation or ketone metabolism, okay? Utilization of ketones, and they are both from fat, okay, but they have different pathways, all right? That's over there. I'm just talking about glucose metabolism right now. Glucose metabolism is known as dirty metabolism, okay? When your body utilizes glucose for energy, it creates a lot more metabolic stress. The amount of true glucose, the amount of glucose that the body truly needs, okay, to operate every single day is very small. It's actually very small. Most people don't know that. It's very small. And the body makes it effortlessly and easily. And it creates very little oxidative stress, very little metabolic stress, very little glycation, because the amount that your body needs is so small that amount that is happening is just part of the total tax of living. Okay, your body does a million metabolic things every single day, and there's a little bit of tax for living. Okay, we are carbon-based life forms, right? We're carbon-based life forms, and energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's all just moving around. But, okay, so the human body is using energy, releasing energy, right? That's the way that it works. So the metabolic tax of that glucose system is very, very small based on what the human truly, truly needs if you are not in glucose metabolism all the time because you are consuming a lot of carbohydrates. Okay? I hope that that makes sense, and I'll explain it a little more differently. So we have fat metabolism, glucose metabolism, beta oxidation or ketone utilization, glucose metabolism. Okay? Beta oxidation gives your cells more than double the amount of ATP for the mitochondria, more than double, okay, compared to glucose. Now, ketones don't give you as much ATP, but the difference is that the fatty acids are a slow, consistent energy, okay? This is what stokes the fire at a low level to keep you going the distance, okay? But for that quick energy, glucose is going to give you that quick pump, and ketones will give you that quick pump as well. Okay, so the energy is not as long lasting. You don't get as much ATP per molecule. Okay, so for each, let's just leave it at that. I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down too far. I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay. So let's just say that ketones can give you that fast energy like glucose can, but without the metabolic stress and all of the excess oxidative stress and all of the dirty stuff that comes along with this glucose metabolism. Okay? Your body can use the ketones. It's much cleaner. It's much cleaner and much more efficient when you're looking at the total metabolic picture. Okay, most people are only giving you snippets of tiny little bits of information, and because people don't know anything, they can fall for narratives. I'm trying to keep people awake, trying to keep them questioning things so that they don't fall for stupid narratives. Okay, you see it, people that are abandoning keto carnivore, they're jumping on the carb bandwagon, they're getting themselves out of fat metabolism, getting back into glucose metabolism. It's a huge mistake. And why are they experiencing benefits? They're experiencing benefits because it's no different than a drug addict. A drug addict who goes years without drugs and then all of a sudden crashes and burns and goes back to the drugs, and they start to feel better temporarily. That's just how it goes. That is just how it goes, okay? And most people that are doing keto carnivore are, if you're doing straight up keto, that isn't even animal based, and you're doing all that other stuff, it's not even surprising. It's not even surprising why you're crashing and burning. But if you're doing a clean keto carnivore and you're crashing and burning, it's oftentimes related to you're just eating too much because you're believing the eat more narrative. Just eat more, just eat more, just eat more. And you're eating too big of a volume of food for your body. So what happens is you start gaining weight, you start feeling lethargic, and you start not feeling good anymore because your body has adapted to being in fat metabolism. And instead of needing more, your body actually needs less because your body starts utilizing all of the fat as energy, and it basically brings your body to a hum instead of the constant hummingbird flitting all over the place. Your body has now settled into the groove, which means you actually need significantly less food, not more. So the more food oftentimes works in the beginning because people have a lot of healing, they have a lot of readjusting. Their body is literally switching over systems completely, and that demands a lot of energy, right? Demands a lot of stuff from your body. So a lot of times people start eating more initially and they actually feel better. They're like, wow, I'm not gaining weight or whatever. But once their body becomes really adapted and anchored, and this can be a couple of years, it can be more than a couple of years, and especially as we get older, our basal metabolic rate does start to decline a little bit because it's trying to conserve so that we can live a lot longer. And if you are shoving all this food into your body that your younger body used to be able to handle, even though it's healthy, nutritious food, gonna backfire. Okay, it's going to backfire. It's just the laws of physics, okay? It's going to backfire. Okay? And a lot of people don't understand that. So a lot of people are jumping ship, eating carbs again, saying they feel great, saying it regulated their thyroid, which is actually hysterical because it's doing nothing of the sort. All right, they're just getting artificial bumps because it's a survival mechanism. And again, once you understand the physiology of how and why that is happening, and they're getting, they're getting those dopamine receptors blasted again. They're literally bringing themselves back into that high state that makes them feel better because their body was starting to not thrive because they weren't following their blueprint of what their blueprint was needing them to do. Okay, and I've actually, and I say this because I've heard enough women say this. It's usually women. I know it happens to men too, but a lot of times it's women. Women start getting older. They start heading towards menopause or they're beyond menopause. They say it worked great initially, but now it's not working for them. And a lot of times too, you don't know what people are eating. You have to realize what our ancestors were eating and what we are eating today, even if you're keto carnivore, isn't what our ancestors were eating. Okay. So there could be some nutrient things going on. There can be many things going on. Okay. However, one of the biggest things is that women are still trying to consume the amount of food that they were eating when they first started. It's going to be a disaster for a lot of women. Okay. And this whole narrative is eat more, eat more. If you don't eat enough, you're going to slow down your metabolism. But the thing is as we get older, our metabolism is slowing down, and you can't force your metabolism to speed up by simply pounding more food. Now, there is a bit of a, thermogenic effect when you're eating food, and especially like eating a little more protein. It does require more energy to break all that down and do what you got to do, but it's not a ton. Okay, it's not a ton. And if you don't have a lot of stuff going on that requires that volume of food, then it is going to kick you in the ass, and it's going to make you feel like shit. So, oh my gosh, like you got to be careful who you listen to. The eat more fat, eat more narrative, just eat more, just eat more. You have to be really careful. But I will say, lowering your fat and bumping up your protein is going to be a disaster for women, especially. Men can get away with it a little bit better, okay? But women, man, women's bodies are really sensitive, okay? And if you start bumping your protein up and start lowering your fat, you're bringing your body back down towards more glucose metabolism, which again, it's a dirty system. It's a dirty system, and you're going to be depriving your brain and your body of the ketones that it desperately, desperately needs as women get older. Okay, as women get older, and it's true for men as well. Okay, it is absolutely true for men, but women notice it a little more intensely because of menopause. Okay, so when a woman goes through menopause, that's the time. It's like your body is throwing out the old, bringing in the new, reorganizing and resetting. And if you don't have the right stuff, that time of your life is going to be fucking miserable. Going to be miserable. Okay. And if you are doing terrible things and are not miserable, then you hit the genetic lottery. You just hit the genetic lottery. And hallelujah, right? You have, although I hate that word, but anyway, you've hit the genetic lottery. If you are somebody who has a terrible lifestyle, a terrible diet, but you are sailing through menopause without any major symptoms, then you have hit the genetic lottery, all right? The genetic jackpot, all right? But for most women are not doing so hot during menopause because they've been running in the shittiest metabolism possible, which is glucose metabolism. Their body has been seriously malnourished, okay? And most of their lifestyles are terrible too. So there's a million different things that come into play here. And this is when those symptoms are going to start coming out freaking upside down, sideways, inside out. It's like women are going to feel like they are losing their minds, okay? They are borderline psychotic. They are absolutely crazy. Women start getting divorced because They can't, they're so irritated and constantly pissed off. And of course, people blame the men. Everybody wants to blame the men, right? But they don't blame women because women are so perfect and innocent all the time, right? No, women who have hormonal problems are batshit crazy. They're nuts and they're emotionally unstable. And I tell my son this all the time. I'm like, you need to be so careful with the girl that you choose. I said, if she has a ton of reproductive problems, I said, you need to run. You need to run. And I know some people think that is absolutely horrible, but it is absolutely true. They are an unstable mess. And he's learning. He's learning about that. He's like, oh my God, Mom, you're so right. You're so right. I'm like, I told you, if they have a terrible hormonal system, they have tons of period problems, tons of PMS, they're going to be a roller coaster to deal with. And I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest it. And my daughter, because of her poor choices, she's gone down that path as well. And it's difficult. It's difficult. And, you know, she knows now because she's older and she sees the direct relationship to what she eats and her lifestyle and how it affects her cycle. She sees it as clear as day, but it can make you nuts. It can make you nuts. And we wonder why men don't like that and don't want to deal with it. Okay? So, you know, not all women are innocent. And it doesn't mean that it's their fault in the sense of being their fault. They're unaware that their diet and their lifestyle is causing them to have severe issues with their bodies and their mental state and their emotional state and the way that they actually are in the world. All right? That's my biggest beef. Okay? It annoys me to no fucking end that according to women who are emotionally unstable and crazy because their hormones are all freaking over the place and their body is in such a state of stress chronically, everything is always the man's fault. Always. Because they can't look in the mirror and self-reflect. And it's really, really sad. Yeah, there's a lot of shitty men out there. There's a lot of shitty women out there. But there's a lot of good people that come together, but because one person is really imbalanced, and then what it does is it interferes drastically with the relationship, and yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue. And you have all of these HRT supporters talking about, you know, women, you know, getting divorced as they go through menopause because they just don't put up with shit anymore. That's interesting, because since I've gone through menopause, I am far calmer. I am significantly calmer than I was prior to going through menopause. I just don't care about shit. Stuff just rolls off my shoulder. Things that used to irritate me don't irritate me anymore. And when anything goes on between my husband and I just walk up to him and be like, hey, babe, like, I am so calm and collected about things now. I literally feel like I have been given a drug that has just like brought me into my grounding zone. Whereas before, you know, raising my kids and, you know, doing the everyday mom life and the everyday hustle and bustle, I was definitely more, you know, even though my husband and I have been together for 40 years and generally we have a good relationship. But, you know, no relationship is perfect. But what I can say is that since menopause, I am experiencing the complete opposite of what many women experience. Now, granted, a lot of women just married douchebag men. And, you know, hey, if you married a douchebag, I feel sorry for you, right? I do feel sorry for you. But the truth is that not all men are douchebags. Okay, and a lot of women are just crazy and hypersensitive and hyper emotional and don't know how to communicate in a healthy way that men are able to receive what you're saying. Okay, and it's just, you know, again, another video for another time. And I'm not an expert, although I do have a background in psychology and counseling and all of that stuff, but I'm not putting myself out there as an expert. Okay, I'm just saying that women are not so innocent, and having your body out of balance can contribute to divorces and your life falling apart and your life being an absolute mess, physical problems, physical breakdown, mental breakdown, the whole 9 yards. It's an issue because you're in glucose metabolism, your body is malnourished. And yes, there's other factors, toxins, endocrine disruptors, all sorts of things, okay? But the one thing that we have such major control over is what we choose to put in our mouth. And most people are making really bad choices because they're getting the wrong information. Okay, the plant-based narrative needs to fucking die, and it needs to die yesterday. All right? Glucose metabolism is the worst metabolism for your body to be in for optimal cellular health. And when I say cellular health, that means your entire biology, your entire physiology, because everything is made up of cells. Okay, so if you want your cells healthy, if you want your hormones and all of the chemicals and all of the substances and all of the things that your body has to do on the daily, if you want that to be working optimally, you better get your ass into fatty metabolism, okay? Beta oxidation and ketone metabolism, because that is actually a healing system. Healing, okay? Not only does it fuel your soul, I cannot talk today. You know why? Because I got about 2 hours of sleep last night. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not going to remake this video, all right? Because I'm not perfect. I am absolutely not perfect. My tongue isn't working right. It's not connecting with my brain well today. So I could not sleep last night. I was restless as, like, I could not sleep. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like, I was on my iPad a lot yesterday, though. I have to say, I spent a lot of time because I've been digging down some past, so doing a lot of research right now. And I did spend a lot of time on my iPad, and I was on it for hours before I went to bed. And I know that that isn't good for you. And so I was like, was it because I was on my iPad for hours before I went to bed? Like, did that fuck me up that badly? I went out for my walk to, to get the late afternoon light. Like, I did all of that. And I went for a nice walk, couple miles. I'm like, what is going on? And I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, is it a fucking full moon or something? Like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is going on? So I get up this morning, I was bopping around doing some stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, go check my calendar. So I check my calendar, and wouldn't you know, full moon today. I'm like, I remember when my kids were little, my husband never believed in this stuff until we had kids. Once we had kids, boy, did he get the full moon thing. He would literally come home and the kids would be like bouncing off the walls, and he'd be like, is it a fucking full moon? And I'd be like, yep, it is. Like, I remember after we've got kids, right? After a couple of years of him like really noticing this, he would look at me and he's like, damn, you were right. Like, because it was just constant. Whenever there was a full moon, our kids had all of this excessive energy. Our kids were extremely energetic to begin with. So now our kids would, and it's not like they were naughty or bad or anything like that. They were just like, ooh, they were like flying all over the place. It was like you literally couldn't keep them down for a second. They just had this unbelievable energy that they were constantly having to discharge. And without doubt, my husband would come home and be like, is it a friggin' full moon? And it was always, yeah, it's a full moon. And it was constant. And we started to joke about it. Like it was this thing. So yeah. So anyway, for some reason, my body was really keyed into that moon last night. Now that's not like, I can't say that this happens very often. It doesn't happen very often. So I was like, what the heck? So I'm just wondering if it was the combination of me being on the iPad for so long, hours and hours yesterday. And then the full moon just stirs things up. That's what it does, right? It's a powerful force. It's a powerful field. And I think my body was just hypersensitive and picking up on it. So anyway, I just thought I would throw that in as a little side note. All right. But yeah, so I'm just not communicating as clearly as I would like to today. All right. And I do feel a little revved up today, as you can tell. But I'm not going to redo the video, right? Because this is just raw, real, it's me. And I'm not here to pretend. I'm not here to put on a facade. I'm not here to, paint a picture of me that isn't accurate, that isn't true. You either like me and like my content, or you don't. You either like authentic and real and all that comes, with, or you don't. And that's just who I am. Okay, so let's bring it back to skincare. So when your whole system is constantly being agitated, irritated, friction, dirty metabolism, glucose metabolism, and all that that entails, it's a very poor system. Beta oxidation and ketone utilization is not only a cleaner burning system, but it's actually a healing system. Okay, fatty acids and ketones actually help to heal your body, help to heal your cells, along with all of the fat soluble nutrients that you're getting from them. Okay, so all of these people in the ketone, the ketone community, ketone community are obsessed with ketones, sucking down, ketone crap and all that stuff. And it's not the same. I'm sorry, it's not the same. Okay, when you take them externally through exogenous sources, it is not the same as getting them with nutrition. Okay, it's not the same. So yeah, can you suck down some ketones and get same thing as with glucose, but you're not reaping the true benefits because it's not coming in with all of the fatty acids, all of the saturated fats, all of the fat soluble nutrients, and all of the other things that are necessary for your entire system to work harmoniously and smoothly together. You're just basically giving your body a bullet, a bullet, a bullet. Okay, and there's a lot of people that are actually in glucose metabolism all the time, and they're sucking down these ketones and getting that, right? But you are not getting the benefits of being in fat metabolism. It's amazing how people just don't get this, right? I say this all the time. There's no free lunch in physiology. There's no free lunch. Manipulation is manipulation. It's not healing. And this is why I talk about modern skincare. There's no free lunch. You can't be putting this shit on your skin that is sending all of these artificial signals that are much greater than what the body would naturally do and think that there's not a price to pay down the road. If you want to compare it to something, think about a hamster wheel, putting a hamster in it and constantly poking that hamster, not letting it sleep very much and making it constantly run on that wheel. How long do you think that hamster is going to live? So when you are constantly poking and prodding your skin, and you're putting retinols and serums and all of this shit, and you're doing, all of this light crap, which is stupid, okay? And getting face peels and burning your skin and doing laser and all of this, you are constantly sending stress signals to your body. You are constantly telling your skin to, oh my God, oh my gosh, step up, step up, step up, step up, step up. So what you're doing is you're making everything have to work exponentially harder and faster, and that is depleting your reserves, depleting. Remember, your body does not have an infinite supply of energy. Okay, we eat food, our body does what it does, but our cells have a certain length of time that they can live based on how much energy gets used up and how much of their telomeres get used up. And as those telomeres shorten, you are closer and closer to death. So why on earth do you want to speed that process up? It's not unlimited. Yes, we can continue to eat food and we can continue to have our bodies, do what it needs to do, but you're not adding more time to your life. You're taking it away. Every day that you live, you're getting closer to death because you're using up your bank. You're using up what's in your bank. Everybody has a bank account to start with. We are all born with a bank account. Some people have huge potential. Some people have limited potential. The idea is you want to maximize whatever your potential is. So if you start withdrawing more and more money from your huge potential bank, or even your small potential bank, okay, you just keep withdrawing more and more and more, it's not getting replenished. You can only work within the system. Does that make sense? I don't even know that that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I don't know that it makes sense to you. Okay? So think about it this way. You have a bank account that you're born with, and it's got so much money in it, and that has to last you a lifetime. Okay? And in order for you to use that money, you have to have the right nutrition. You've got to have the right everything in order for you to maximize that potential so that you don't piss through it too quickly. All right? If you piss through it too quickly, then you're going to be in trouble. All right? But you don't have beyond your potential. All of this anti-aging bullshit and biohacking, you have your potential. The idea is we want to reach our potential. But if you're doing all this biohacking and all this anti-aging shit, you are actually speeding up the process. Do people not understand that? You are speeding up the process because you're causing your body to have to work harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to meet the demands of what you're placing on it. Now, we know there's something called hormetic stress. It's low level of stress that makes your body go, oh, I got to work, I got to do something. And that's normal. That's healthy. That's normal. That's part of the way humans operate. But when you are constantly throwing what you think is a hormetic stress repeatedly at the body, it becomes a downright chronic stress now. Okay? So that's modern skincare, a lot of the biohacking stuff, all of this stuff. Okay? It's like sunlight. A small amount, decent. Go beyond that, chronic stress. All right? And the only sunlight that humans really need to thrive is early morning light, afternoon light. We are meant for diffused light. We are actually shade dwellers. This is why all of the ancient stories talk about humans being forest people or shade dwellers, okay? Because we have existed with 2 to 3 times more trees on the planet than we have today. Humans were never known to be out in the high UV, okay? And if they were, they protected their skin with animal fats and clothing and things that they made, earth substances that they would find. Yeah, okay, even melanated people, because prior to the agricultural revolution, there were only melanated people on the planet, and they protected their skin. Go to the Aboriginal places and go places where close to the equator. The melanated skin, okay, our ancestors, the people that have lived there for thousands and thousands of years, protect themselves from the sun, okay? They wear big hats, they smear stuff on their skin, they make clothing particularly to protect themselves. No human was out getting UV sun on their skin when it was really hot. None of them. They weren't doing it, okay? So be careful who you listen to. It is a stress to the body. You have to protect yourself from that stress, okay? Best thing you can do for your skin is get into fat metabolism and start eating an animal-centric diet. That is human-appropriate nutrition. Okay, we are apex predators. Everything you hear to the contrary is a lie. Okay, that is what they want you to know, because all of that crap is funded by the agricultural business. If you know anything about the agricultural world, they are tied into big pharma, big tech, and the whole agenda of the government, which is why the government promotes the agricultural agenda. Keep in mind, it's the same fucking people, okay? And some may argue, you know, the whole thing about ranchers and all of that stuff, but again, another subject for another day, okay? But just know that the plant-based agenda is because the people that run the agricultural system at the top, not talking about the little local farmers, I'm talking about at the top, are part of the transhuman agenda. Don't forget that, okay? Everything I say can be validated. I don't say anything that I can't back up, okay? Signing out.